If you find yourself lost completely, unworthy, unsure of what you are doing here in this life, what's your purpose? Why are you doing the job you're doing? What what is it life? Who are you? And no matter how you came to these questions, I feel like everyone who asks these questions, we all arrive from different starting points, but the destination is the same. The destination is finding peace and your true self. It's been used quite a lot on YouTube, and I've watched lots of self-help videos. Find authentic self, your purpose, your true self, awaken, but what it really means. So I'd like to share my story about it. It all started well long ago when I was born, but long story short, I was born in Russia, and my family has a story of abuse and alcoholism, and obviously the childhood trauma. Anyways, I made it through, and I traveled a lot. And a couple of years ago, I was volunteering in a hostel, and it was quite international environment. That time, I was doing my PhD in Dublin, and I took this long vacation, 3 months of vacation in Montenegro. And there, I was always looking for love, and I probably am always in love with someone or something. And it's this, I think I'm in love with love. And that time, I kind of gave up on finding someone for myself. And that time, a guy appeared, and it felt like heaven. It felt like I finally can open my heart to someone. And I did, and he promised beautiful life together. And I really gave all myself into this relationship. Well, it turned out that with time, and as 6 months passed and we traveled a lot, I had to give up a lot of my own interests and my goals, which is okay. Probably we have to compromise in relationships, but mm, I lost myself to this person. And when I lost myself, he lost interest in me. And I couldn't believe that this beautiful love can transform into what I used to call abuse, and what is called narcissism in some YouTube space. And I realized that I might be a people pleaser. I might be someone who is trying to fit in no matter what, just for the sake of belonging. And one day, I couldn't keep up with the betrayal that I was putting myself through. And I left. There were so many things in my life that were dependent on him. But that time, we used to share an apartment, and the plans were to move into another city together. And when jealousy and rage took over me, when he neglected me way too much, I couldn't tolerate it anymore. And I left with a tremendous scandal, and I'm not proud of my behavior. But all the darkness in me that was residing and suppressed over the years of people pleasing and unworthiness just came out in one day. And I left the darkness, I left to face my fears, I left him. And this is where my journey started, my journey to awakening. Maybe you find yourself, um, how do I put it? If you find yourself tired of doing what you're doing and still not being happy, and like you do everything in your life, you meditate, you do sports, you journal, you're being a good friend, being a good parent, a good partner, but you are still empty and dead inside. Well, it's because you betray yourself, You betray your interests, you betray your core, you're disconnected from source, you're disconnected from your body. And that was the reason of me going through ego death later. So the day I left, I started with meditation. Well, I started smoking pot a lot. I used to smoke pot, but I started smoking. And I'm not propagating it, but it helped me to calm down, be still and quiet, because my nervous system was um, stressed to the point where I was shaking whole day through. I found my body completely devastated, and the day I left, all my plans crashed. Oh, I wasn't going to that city anymore. I still had to finish my PhD, and it was my final year where I really needed to work hard. And I realized I sacrificed my time for working on my thesis for this guy, for traveling that I didn't need to do, for the expensive apartment that I wasn't able to pay for. So I was broke, alone, helpless, and I drowned myself in pity. And it was this gooey feeling of not being able to do anything for yourself, not being able to stand up for yourself. How funny is that? That we can solve everyone else's problems but not yours. So I stayed there, rotting on my sofa, being high all the time, watching YouTube videos about narcissism, calling him a narcissist, calling myself a people pleaser, which might be true, but as now I see it, he is a wounded soul, and I am as well. And we were given to each other to teach a lesson, teach a lesson. Our true self designed it to bring us back home to present moment, to our bodies, to our sensations. I no longer want to use the terminology of narcissism and people pleasing, but the words that might have different meaning lead you to understanding that, well, actually words mean nothing without experience. And when I found myself helpless, the thoughts of suicide came, the thoughts of ending my life, because no one needed me truly. My family was practically destroyed. Many of my friends, as I called friends, stopped. Well, the war between Ukraine and Russia was a major thing, and many people stopped talking to me just because for my views. My brother as well called me a traitor to my country, which I find hilarious. So I lost my motherland. As you know, Russians, we are quite patriotic, but not anymore. Um, I lost my family. I lost my love. I didn't want to finish this PhD because what's the point? I don't want to be an economist. And as I was traveling in Montenegro after this breakup, one of the days I stayed in hostel on my bed and I thought, there is no point of me leaving. There is no point of standing up. I will stay here until I die of dehydration or starvation, and I'll stay on this bed. I will not rise, and whatever happens, happens. And I cried myself to ego death. It was a beautiful moment of this pain that was rising in my body. It started to come up more and more and more, and One moment, what happened is, one moment I felt like a jet that goes through sound barrier, the speed of sound barrier, and like a balloon bursting, after which complete calmness and peace comes. So I suddenly stopped crying, and I was amazed by serenity of life. As I wasn't there anymore, as my ego died, all my pain went away. I refused to leave, and this is when I started to leave. It's hard to explain. It has to be lived through. And now, looking back at that, narcissism and people pleasing is just the same thing as two sides of one coin. It's two sides of our ego, deflated or inflated. If you are a so called narcissist, your ego is just way too inflated and you put a lot of importance on yourself, and you play a king or an emperor. Um, if you're a people pleaser, you're deflated and you play victim and asking for attention through begging and serving everyone, but serving with your like expecting the benefit of your service, not the true serving as we are supposed to serve to God, to nature, to people. It's all for your own advantage. This has to go because that's what's stopping you from being in the moment. And that day in the hostel, when I surpassed this speed of sound barrier and I became present in the moment, when my pain left me in 1 second, I looked out of the window and I saw people. It was one of the main streets in Shkodër, city of Albania. The Albania was playing with some other European country. I'm not sure. It was a football match, World Cup football match, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a fan of football. Maybe it wasn't World Cup, but the point is that the streets were full of people and the tables were outside, and huge groups of people cheering and celebrating. And I looked outside of the window and I was like, life, you're just so beautiful now. Because I completely forgot who I am. And I was nowhere and everywhere. I was just observing what was around me. I was that people. I was that street. I was that hostel room. And as I went to bathroom to wash my face from tears, and the face was all swollen, and probably there's some beauty to it too. I looked in the mirror and I was like, "Who is this person? Who is this person? I couldn't. Is it me? Was it? It was magical." And since that time, of course, my deflated ego is coming from people pleasing side. I still, I still fall into this pit of victimhood, but I know how to get out of it. I know how to tune in back, and I want to share this experience with you. If you if you don't see the way out, that means you're on the right way. If you don't know what to do because you tried everything and you're still getting depressed, or you just don't seem to get joy from anything you're doing, you are on the right way. Your pain and your suffering is teaching you something. You still haven't learned the lesson, but you are. And the reason and the fact that you're watching this video now, trust me, you're going there. And when this day comes, when you will embrace yourself as something bigger than just your problems, than just you, than just your profession, than just your roles in society that you play as a student, as a worker, as a mother, as a girlfriend, as a father, I don't know, whatever you want to call yourself, you are not all of this. You are so much bigger than this. Ah, I know this will come for you. There is no other way. Just be patient. And if you want to cry, don't stop. Cry. Cry. Go in that pain. Let yourself suffer and listen to it, because it will tell you. It will tell you that you are the reason of everything. And your ego is your instrument that unfortunately was broken since some sad occasion, some sad things that happened to you since childhood. We are all conditioned. And all these things that I'm saying, I'm sure I could have said that before and I knew that before, but knowing them and living through this experience is different. All you need to do is to look in your fear. If you think that you are unworthy, sit there and think, yes, I am unworthy. I am. What does it happen if I'm unworthy? If what happens if everyone rejects me? What happens if I just fail the exam? What happens if I lose my job and I will become homeless? What happens if I stay on the streets? What happens if my family rejects me? What happens if I'm ugly? What happens if I will never find love? And sit there, feel this pain. It will guide you through, and you will see that the answer was always there. The answer is you. Thank you for listening to my story. And I hope that you will return to my channel, because I will be talking more about the concept of ego, about self actualization. I've looked at this from different perspectives, from Carl Jung's perspective, Buddhist perspective, um, New Age, whatever. I tried all sorts of all sorts of ideologies there, but they all speak about the same thing. I think I have the right to share it with everyone now, because I'm sure I'm on my way, and I want to invite you to join me, and I will join you on your way too. Thank you, and have a good day.